Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's a big misconception when people are like, no, I'd rather do cardio. That's why I'd rather do cardio. I don't want to be bulky, right?
It's a bad misconception. Like, if you're gonna lift this way, you're just automatically gonna turn into like the buffest person on earth. Like that's not the way that works. It took me almost 5 years to look the way that I look, in a sense, and that's just progress over time and consistency. But the misconception comes from a lot of women. I'll just call it what it is, and it's not to be like gender bias or anything like that, but that's typically where I hear that response from. So lucky for me, I have female bodybuilders around me, and then I'll point to them and I'm like, okay, well, how does she look? Oh, she looks good. And I said, well, she lifts 6 times a week. Yeah. Really? I said, yeah, she can squat like 250. But she's a bodybuilder. You don't want to look like her? And they'll go, well, she doesn't look bad. And I said, exactly. I said, you lifting weights is not going to get you to look. You're probably looking at me like you don't want to look like me. You're not going to, which is fine. I don't think no one wants you to look like me. Sometimes I don't even want to look like me.
Female. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Offbeat Podcast. I'm your host, Jon Reese, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Today we have a great I believe it's going to be educational, it's going to be informative, and I believe it's going to really impulse us and impulse a lot of us to go out and reach those goals that we have. You know, I know that there's a lot of people out there with fitness goals, nutrition goals. Man, I know that that's a big thing, especially with summer approaching. And so today's guest, man, I met him not too long ago. And, we hit it off. He's got some, we'll be talking about that today too. He's got some, plans in the works also, man. He's going to be starting something up, and, so it's a pleasure to have him here today. So help me welcome Jon Reese in the house. Let's go. Welcome.
Clap it up one time.
Oh, the applause. It's right there. I think it says it. Which of the applause?
We got the manual applause. The manual.
There it is. A little bit delayed, but let's go. Yeah, man. So we're right here in the studio, man. Jon, welcome.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Of course, man. Thank you for agreeing to come on here, man. And I know recently we chopped it up, and you got some plans in the works, right?
Yeah, man. Definitely want to do my own podcast. I want to start something called Inside the Mind, where we get into the mental health aspect of bodybuilding. Yeah. As well as the differences as far as like marriage goes. I want to get inside, the minds of how, because again, like my wife, she's Muslim, she's from Bangladesh, and it's like we come from 2 different worlds. Yeah. So, living in this world where social media is so heavy, everyone thinks like their opinion is law, but realistically, it's all about how you make things work, whether it's religion or your foundation is love, like whatever the case is. But if you walk into any household, any marriage, there's big differences. Right. So when you get in there, I want to talk about those things and how people make their marriages work, because one thing is not the end all be all. Right. Like, it's not one way of doing things or even 2 ways. Like, there's directions to everything. Right. So, I want to really tap into those 2 lanes and just talk to people and, give out the good word, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. And that's really good. I love that niche, because it's needed. It really is. Like you said, like it's, working with your partner, working in your marriage. Everyone's process is different. Everyone's situation is different. There's no one situation fits all, and just today, it's crazy that you brought that up right now, because just today I saw a clip where, I'm not going to say like who it is or, but it was a clip that, it's kind of, it's someone that I follow, and it was kind of unsettling when I heard him, and, he was talking about like how, the role of a man, and I understand like his intention, what he was trying to do, but the way that it was communicated was like, like that might have worked, years ago, you know what I mean? But we're in a whole different time now. And, the only thing that came to my mind was exactly what you said right now was like, man, everyone has to work out their relationship different in what they do.
I was literally just talking to this with my barber not too long ago. When we talk about like when you get married, you're marrying the unknown, like who that person is going to become,
right? And
what they're going to evolve into. And it's the same with you. Like you change. Like I give this a running joke. Like my wife's transformed 3 different times since we got married. Yeah. So it's like she had the baby, and she turns into like this superhero super mom, right? Where all the attention is on the baby, and then like sometimes I may feel like I'm in the back burner, but it's not really that. It's we're evolving as humans, which is what you're supposed to do, right? So yeah, you're marrying the unknown, and again, like how do men deal with that? How do women deal with that? So it's never a thing where it's just one script, one blueprint. You're continuously trying to figure things out, communication. And I want to have real conversations about how people deal with these things. Yeah. So, and what's the mindset? What are your behaviors? What are your actions that come from that? And the same thing within the fitness world too. Like within the bodybuilding world, everyone looks at Instagram and they feel like, oh, well, dang, you look good. Like, what are you eating? What is your workouts like? All that's important, but there's a mental side of that. Yeah. And that it could be taxing at times. So I want to be able to talk to amateurs, professionals, where, people dive into these topics and they give the details as far as, the struggles, the highs, the lows, the everything. So
yeah, that's going to be awesome, man. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait for that, man. And, and we need more. We need the IE to represent.
Absolutely, man. San Bernardino, we here.
Yeah. Shout out to the IE, to San Bernardino, man. If in case you haven't known yet, that's where we're recording at, right here from the beautiful city of San Bernardino, man. And you grew up right here too, right?
Absolutely,
around this area?
Absolutely, man. I was baseline in Tippecanoe. I was born in
the
San Bernardines, right there. Yeah, San Bernardino Hospital, man. I went to elementary school, Warm Springs. Curtis Middle School, for those that don't know, Curtis was a middle school before it turned into Indian Hills High School, I think, whatever it's called. There was a middle school called Curtis Middle School, and then I went to Pacific, so I graduated.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah.
All throughout the Dino, man.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And so tell us a little bit before we get into, I know today we're going to try to aim to be a little bit more topical and more educational in what, because I know you bring I know you're going to bring just, wealth of knowledge, man, and so I know it's going to help a lot of people that are going to try to tackle their goals, and because everyone right now, everyone's trying to get ready for that summer body,
including me.
I get, man, everyone is trying to because the sweaters are going to start coming off, the baggy clothes are going to start coming off, man, and we're going to be taking these beach trips, and so everyone is trying to look good, and I get it, and so we'll get into that, but tell us a little bit about I know you grew up here in San Bernardino, so tell us about a little bit about your upbringing. How was it? How was that? Your family life?
Absolutely. So again, born and raised in San Bernardino. Father wasn't around since probably like the age of 5, so it was always my mom. I have 2 older brothers. One is 10 years older than me, and then the other is 14. Okay. So they were long gone when I was in like my adolescent stage. So it was one of those things where my mom had, my stepdad who she was married to at the time, but she was so into him. So it was one of those things where you're letting the environment raise you type of thing, which can be good and bad at times because you find yourself getting into stuff that you shouldn't be getting into, or you kind of take those life lessons and be like, oh, I don't think I should be doing that. I think I should go the other way. So the beautiful thing for me was in my apartments that I stayed, it was a lot of older people who kind of looked out for me. So whenever there was people off doing stuff that they wasn't supposed to be doing, I was protected at all times. So even when, walking back and forth to school, or we're going to away games, hooping, or going to different parks, I felt like I was always protected just based off me knowing older people and just being one of those, people in the community that was dedicated to, playing basketball. I fell in love with basketball since I was 6. Yeah. And I swore up and down I was going to make it to the NBA.
Yeah. What position?
Point guard. But I was heavy set as a kid. It's funny. So I always used to get the same donut and donut and cookies like all the time whenever I was walking to school. I was heavy as a kid, but it wasn't until I got to high school and I was like, yeah, I think I may want to start losing weight. But I could still move. Like it was like weird. So, but once you're like playing with older people in high school, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to keep up. So. But yeah, man, like my childhood was it was rough at times just because I didn't have siblings and I was always isolated in a sense. That's why I always tried to go outside and try to find people to be with in my apartments. While, you know, a lot of people that I grew up with, they had siblings as well. So there was times where I was just like, I'm going to just go to the school and go hoop or, you know, whatever the case is. So, but it wasn't rough in a sense where I did know a lot of other people. So I just... extended family, man. Family's not all blood to me, and that's where that rooted from. So I got people who I call like cousins who like they're not related to me, but they're like really my cousins, like for real. So for the most part, San Bernardino was a hard city to make it out of. Like I don't reside in the city no more, but I always try to return when I can. And it's just one of those things where it's like it can be rough on kids. So it can be rough on adults too, especially if you're still rooted in there like that. But I love the city, man. And anytime I, you know, have a chance to come back and speak to, you know, some of the people that, you know, grew up under me, I always do so.
That's cool, man. No, and I love that you touched on that because recently I did an episode with he's actually a Chicano rapper right here from San Bernardino also, and we got to chop it up and it was cool, man. And that's kind of what we were talking about was, you know, not all things that, you know, when you grow up, you know, in the hood, when you grow up, you know, in areas that aren't good, like San Bernardino, things like that, you know, like sometimes, man, not everything is bad. You know, like there are a lot of bad things that do happen. But like what you mentioned right now, that family environment, you know, like that's one of the good things that I've always advocated that, man, that regardless of how things like in my personal life too, you know, I grew up in the projects out there in Las Vegas. But one thing that I can recall, man, was exactly what you're saying, man, is that family environment, you know, like people that, you know, you're getting to know or you've known for, you know, your whole childhood, you know, they're not even related to you, but you introduce them, oh, this is my cousin, you know what I mean? Oh, this is my brother. You know, and it was funny. People would be like, "Oh yeah, I see the resemblance," and be like, "Man, we're far from being related." But you really do, and that's why, you know, I believe that environment, man, and environment is huge, man, to our upbringing, right? Because you know, you can be in a great area, right? And things are going to be different, you know what I mean? But you can be in the bad area, right? And, you know, so people that say environments don't matter, like, no, they do. They do because like I have my family, like they, you know, most of them, they're from Mexico, small ranch, and same, like they embodied that, like where they kind of just like the village raises them, you know what I mean? Like everyone knows each other. You know, from sun up to sundown, they're out, you know, like they're working but mostly they're just out. But the environment that they're in isn't the same, you know, like, so getting into trouble the way that a person is able to get into trouble here is just way different.
Way different. Man. So, yeah, the environment is key for me. That's actually what molds my attitude as far as going into fitness. Like I said, like I wasn't always like this fitness junkie. Like I love to play basketball. That was like, again, my first love until I tore my ACL. I blew my whole knee out actually. That was in 2016. Well, when college days was over, but that's when, all right, it was time to find another sport. Like I ended up just playing in some adult rec league, just trying to still find the attachment to the game, and normal play ended up blowing my knee out and it sat me down for a while. But that, again, persevering, like when you're young, like you kind of don't know what that means, right? But you're literally doing that on a day-to-day basis based off, you know, whatever environment that you're in. So it could be negative, and whatever it is that you're going through, you're going to have to persevere through that. So 9 times out of 10, you probably have family, friends that's protecting you and helping you push. But as you get older, a lot of things start happening, and you got to be able to persevere through those things. So I love my upbringing for that, because whenever times do get tough, it's just like, all right, well, you got to find a way. You have to find a way. So, and it's times you want to quit, whatever the case is, but you have that self-dialogue, and it's just like, all right, there's a way. You just got to figure it out, pray about it, whatever it is that you need to do, and then navigate your path.
That's dope. Yeah, no, I like that. Dang, bro, the ACL. Did you get it fixed?
Yes.
Bro.
I didn't even want to go to the doctor after it happened. My wife was there. I really didn't. I was like, because you try to, I'm fine, I'll be all right. But no, like, so when I felt my knee buckle, like I was screaming on the ground for like probably like 5 minutes. And
it's excruciating, bro.
Man, look, I stood up because I thought I broke it. So when I looked down, I was like, oh, like my knee's just been like, I'm fine. So I stood up, and then my my fibula was in there knocking inside my leg. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's not good. And my wife was like, yeah, you need to go to the hospital. I was like, no, I'll be fine. Like, just let me walk it off. Like, no, but ended up going. They did the MRI the next day, and it was like, yeah, you tore everything. Like every ligament in there was a grade 2 besides the ACL, which was totally torn.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, that happened. And it's crazy because same thing. It was playing basketball. I was playing basketball. And, well, there was a time where we'll even talk about that. I had like between like the ages of like 9 to 11, I was chubby too. So, but I love basketball. I love sports. But my problem was always like I was short. I'm short. So I didn't have that. You know what I mean? Like
we're both short.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like what you're talking about is, I love what you said about when you're a child. You know what I mean? Like you automatically just persevere. You know, and I remember having that too as a child. Like it didn't discourage me being short. You know what I mean? So I learned how to move. I learned how to move around people. Not anymore, but like I had some good hops, bro. Like for my height, I had good hops. I would out hop some tall dudes. You know what I mean? Like so I always had that. But going into like I was probably like what, like maybe like 25. I think it was like Ezra. You were pregnant with Ezra, I think, right? Or was Ezra born already? It was around the same time, probably around 2016, bro.
Yeah,
it was 2000 because my son was born in 2015. And so I think it was during that year, 2016, early 2016, bro.
Crazy.
And I was, I was balling these dudes up. You know what I mean? I was right there, and and I ran down the court, bro, and I felt somebody behind me, and you know what I mean? I felt, so I'm like, I'm just gonna, fake the layup, but do a hard stop, bro. And same thing, bro. I just felt my entire leg though just buckled. It just buckled, bro, and I felt this shock. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah,
I felt the shock from like here. It just shocked to my hip, and so that scared me because I didn't think, oh, my knee. Like I thought, oh, dang, like my hip, my muscle, something, and I just threw myself to the floor, bro, and I was scared to get up. Like I was like, because at that moment, like it wasn't pain that I was feeling. It was still that shock feeling. And so then I started to move my ankle. I'm like, okay, it's not my ankle. Started to like move the leg a little bit. I was like, okay, what is it? So when I got up, that's when I finally, the same thing. I felt something was in there. Yeah. And I'm like, dang. And I'm the same way, bro. Like I was stubborn. I'm like, nah, I don't want to. And to this day, man, I haven't gotten it fixed.
Oh,
like I've just learned to live with it, man. But
blessings to you. I was in the surgery room 2 weeks later.
Oh yeah. See, I canceled 3 surgeries, bro.
Wow.
I scheduled and yeah, when they did the MRI too, like they told me, they're like, same thing. I had the medial meniscus was partially torn. The other one, same, partial torn. ACL, complete tear, man. And so now I have to be careful. I gotta, it's not the same. I can't sprint anymore. Like I can't pivot. Like I can't, like basketball, sports, anything. Like it's a no for me right now. I can't do any of that right now, man. So that's a pain I don't wish upon anyone.
Seriously, I can't even watch it on TV no more. Whenever something happens, they tore something, turn it.
Yeah,
I don't even want to see it.
Yeah, bro. I'm the same way. Like when it comes anything else, I'm like, but when it comes to their knee, when I see something happen to their knee, their leg, or anything, I'm just like, oh, I just turned away.
PTSD.
I'm like, no. Yeah. Yeah, but all right, man. So yeah, so we got a few things in common.
Absolutely.
All right, man. So today what we want to do, man, is of course we want to indulge in your experience, and we want to really educate our viewers out there that are trying to attack their fitness and health goals, man. And so I think the first question, man, that everyone probably, or maybe not asking themselves, but maybe they're just debating is, man, how do we just get started when it comes to, our fitness goals? You're talking to someone that maybe hasn't been inside the gym for maybe a few years or maybe never in their whole life. Like, what would you encourage or say to them?
Well, what I would say is, so everything is accessible through the internet. So it's very hard to find, any type of motivation, when you don't have it around you per se. So that it's cliche, but do your research, like what it is that you want to do. Sometimes you have like prototypes. Okay, I want to look like this for the summer. Okay. Or I promise you, like if you want to look up workouts, you can find millions of workouts online. Like, okay, I want to work on abs, or I want to work on shoulders, or I want to work on this. And then as you start to do your research, you can just start piecing stuff together. That's if you're just trying to get started on your own. But my best advice is, to be honest with you, go consult with someone. Go talk to a professional. Go talk to a personal trainer, or like myself, like I'm a professional bodybuilder. Like, go talk to, like, no one's going to steer you the wrong way per se, but be a student, soak in that knowledge, and ask 1,000,001 questions. Like, I get first time clients all the time. And I tell them, like, look, you have 24/7 access to me. Ask as many questions as you want. Nice. And 9 times out of 10, their first time they'll call me, they're in the gym like, hey, I'm trying to follow these workouts you gave me. Yeah. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll walk you through it. Like, no problem. And that's the thing. Like, the industry itself has to be more lenient and cognizant of the fact that everyone's not on the same level. So people are just starting. They're trying to figure it out. And it's up to those who have the knowledge to pass it down, just like you would do anything else. So, and make them feel comfortable within their journey, knowing that they're first started. I know when I first started actual bodybuilding, it was like a foreign language. And I asked 1,000,000 questions. I probably got on my coach's nerves, but it was a lot of stuff I didn't know. And it was a lot of stuff that was against what I was learning in the first place. So best bet, consult with a professional, or just do your own research and try to pile it together if you're that comfortable and that confident. But don't be afraid to walk into a gym and say, hey, this is my first time. I need to know, what is this, or how can I do this, or, whatever the case is, whatever questions you ask, but ask. And I think that's, you brought up a good point. I think that's what keeps a lot of people from even taking that first step of going, is because there is a lot of information out there, and there is social media that puts a lot of things and even funny things, and even like where, I like what you said, is we have to be, compassionate. We have to understand, people we're not all on the same level. We all have different years of experience, different expertise, and I think sometimes a lot of people can see that, and they can just be intimidated by that, where it's like, man, there's so much information. So I really like how you just narrowed that down. And I think, honestly, like, I used to try to avoid that. Like, I remember in the beginning, when let's say you set foot at a 24 or at a LA Fitness, like, one of the first things, that they kind of offer you is like, hey, you know what, like, would you like a free consultation? And I know a lot of people kind of shy away from that, because they're like, no, like, I don't want, I can't pay extra, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. But what you just said is key for people to grasp, is like, just take the consultation. Sit down with someone that has experience, that knows the ins and outs of the machines, the things, and just have a sincere conversation. Even if you don't hire them for the long haul, you might just
hire them for a short term, you know, or whatever that might be, or you might not hire them, but at least you get, you know, the ins and the outs, the basic ins and the outs, just to get you comfortable enough so that you can start your routine, right?
Yeah, and that's where it's at. Like, it's funny because I would walk in the gyms, hey, can we, you know, show you around? This is when I first was getting back into like box gyms.
Yeah.
Hey, can we show you and do a free consultation? Oh, no, I'm good.
Right.
Thinking I know what I'm doing, but I really don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for those who are just stepping into, like, the operative word is free. They're giving it to you.
Yeah.
So that's your time to ask whatever questions you need. Like, they're offering their time for free. And that, I'm not saying that's the thing that's going to boost your confidence, but it's going to kick you into the right direction as far as whatever it is that you're trying to do as far as your journey. So definitely consult, ask around, and ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, 100%. And that's even a good opportunity for the trainer, right? Wouldn't you say? Like, because sometimes you could be like, no, I'm not going to offer my advice, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe that, you know, oh, no, they're not interested in, but even just kind of stepping out and being like, hey, you know what? Because they might remember that one day, right? They might remember you. They might be like, hey, man, I remember that trainer that, you know, offered, or he gave me free advice, or he gave me his free tips. And that day when maybe they do take it more serious, you're going to be the first person they come back to, right?
Yeah, and then I try to, whenever people come to my gym, you'll get people that come to the door and I'll say like, hey, is there anything you need? Yeah. And with self-made, it's more of like independent contractors. So you got 50 trainers doing 50 different things, whatever they specialize in. So if someone comes in and they talk about their goals and it's kind of concentrated on what I do, sure, well, let's have a sit down and let's talk. If it's not, I'll point you in the right direction, whether you're trying to do boxing or whatever the case is. But at least sit down with someone who's certified or a professional or that has the tenure within the industry to give back, give that knowledge back, and make you feel comfortable and understand, like, okay, this may be something I can do. And that helps down the road. Like, they may be on the fence at the time, but that conversation just may get them over. So that definitely helps as trainers when you do the consultation.
Cool. So there you have, just walk in, just walk in, just do it. It might not even cost you anything. Just sit down with someone, sit down with a professional. That's what they're there for. That's what they studied for. That's what a lot of them have trained for. You know what I mean? So let's take up that knowledge, you know, and, you know, let's take advantage. Let's take advantage of these trainers, these people that, you know, they're dedicating their life, you know what I mean, to want to help, you know? So, and then the next thing is, like, that's another big common question that I think people always ask is like, so I want to lose weight. And I know there's a lot of factors. Maybe you can kind of break that down, because I want to lose weight. What are the best exercises to lose weight?
Well, that's definitely a buzz question.
Right.
So, and then, you know, everyone wants to look good and lose weight or look good and gain weight. It all depends on, you know, what your perspective is. But what I would say is exercising is probably third on the totem pole when it comes to that. So, like, the priority is sleep. Like,
really?
Yeah, the priority is sleep. You digest everything in your sleep. You grow in your sleep. Think about it. When do teenagers grow the most?
When they sleep.
In the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Like, dang, you sprouted like 4 or 5 inches. That's because they've been on summer vacations sleeping all freaking day.
Yeah, that's when I realized I was short.
I probably didn't get much sleep in the summer either, because I never hit a growth spurt. But those who hit growth spurts, they're typically in the summer, not at camps. They sleep
that's true.
till 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Versus getting up at their scheduled time at 6 to go to school, and then all of a sudden they grow 3, 4, 5 inches over the summer. It's the same thing as an adult. Like, that's your operative recovery time, your operative growth time. So sleep, and then the second thing is hydration. Like, you gotta get your water in. You have to. You gotta get your water in, even if you spike your water with electrolytes or whatever the case is. Get your water in, because that's what fuels the muscle as well. Like, your muscles are 75% water. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So if you're not drinking enough water, you're gonna look flat. So water is also a natural diuretic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So what, and by that, what you mean is that like the more water we drink, the more we flush out.
Yeah, you're flushing out bad toxins, whatever the case is. Because call it what it is. America doesn't have the greatest food, so like you're gonna need to flush all that stuff out, and you're gonna need to hydrate yourself, and then you'll get to the exercises. Right. So the best exercises, to be honest, is the ones you're comfortable with. I definitely mix it up. You have a lot of muscle groups on your body, but there's different forms of exercises that you can combine. Everything like quick hit, like high intensity interval training, where you can incorporate upper body, lower body at a quick pace. Or what I do, I break everything in a separate muscle group. So I may do what the international schedule is: chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, shoulders on Thursday, rest probably Friday, and then Saturday arms or something like that, to where I'm breaking everything down and I'm giving everything its own attention. So that's a way of going about it. But all in all, get in there, develop a routine of what makes you feel comfortable. If I say like, hey, we're going to go do this leg press, you may say, I don't think I should do that because of my knee.
Right.
Oh, no, you'll be all right. Like I had the same thing. Like that doesn't make you comfortable. In fact, that's going to make you uncomfortable, discourage you, and remove you away from your journey.
Right.
So the whole thing is about, okay, what exercises are going to make you comfortable, from the most hardest exercises to the ones that aren't as difficult, but at the same time, that depends on level, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, what's going to make you comfortable? And then for me as a trainer, I kid you not, when I first got with my coach, I was in a class group of women. She took a 10-pound dumbbell. She was like, hold this. And I'm like, what are we doing with it? Thinking, well, 10 pounds, oh, that's nothing. Like, what is, she was like, yeah, we're going to be doing shoulders with this. I kid you not. I got smoked in this work. I was dying from a 10-pound dumbbell. That taught me right there, it doesn't matter how much, it's what you do with it.
Right.
And that's kind of my method in training. And I've done this a lot of times where it's just like, all right, we're going to take this 5 pounds and we're going to hold this the whole exercise, but we're going to be doing different movements. And I've had men look at me like, well, 5 pounds, what is this? And then they're dying at the end of a workout. Yeah. So it's all in the approach, how you do things, and what makes you comfortable as far as exercises wise. Anyone can draw up a plan. Are you comfortable enough to go execute it?
Right.
And that's really what it boils down to. But the first two things on there is sleep and hydration.
I love how you put that in because that's the first time I actually hear it in that order. I've always heard, you always hear, get enough sleep, make sure you hydrate, 1 to 2 gallons a day. But I've never heard it in that. But it makes so much sense because it's true. It's like, if we can discipline ourselves or do just a simple practice of getting ourselves to bed early, you know what I mean? And getting the amount of sleep that we need, like that itself is it'll probably eliminate a lot of the things that we as people like kind of go through, which is like the tiredness. Yep. Sometimes why don't we exercise? Because we're too tired. And it's not that we did physical labor, it's not that we did, anything big or heavy or anything. It's just simply because our bodies are tired. We're not giving them the amount of sleep that they need. And then also too, like, a lot of times why we feel sluggish, a lot of times why we feel the way we feel is because, we're, like you said, man, we don't have the best food.
We don't.
We don't have the best diet. We don't have the best food available to us all the time. We don't, so our bodies are just, full of toxic, toxicity, right? Is that the right word? Toxicity? I don't know if that's
in there.
If not, we just made it up, right? But you know what I mean? But all those factors, like whether we believe it or not, like it does affect us. It affects our mood. It affects, our approach. So like if we're feeling tired, if we're, our bodies are just toxic and all this, well, it's going to just make that more difficult to get to the gym and just even walk the treadmill because we're just got all these things.
Something as simple as that. The one thing I add in with hydration is /nutrition. And that's the main thing I preach. Nutrition is what changes the body. So how you adjust those, if you're trying to gain weight, you got to adjust the nutrition. If you're trying to lose weight and get ready for the summer and you want those abs to show or whatever the case is, you have to adjust the nutrition and eat accordingly. Yeah. So the 2 words we use is like, all right, if you're trying to gain and put on muscle and try to put on a little bit of extra pounds, you want to be in a surplus nutrition-wise. If you're trying to lose weight, you want to be in a deficit. So those 2 things is based off whatever your maintenance is. So if you're trying to lose weight, you want to be under your maintenance. If you're trying to gain weight, you want to be over your maintenance. You can find your maintenance literally what's called a BMR, your basal metabolic rate, or whatever the case is. It kind of tells you. You can go get it at like a NutriShop. They do like in-body tests and stuff like that.
I know you guys do that too, right?
Yeah, we do that self-made too. So I tell people like go find wherever they do like an in-body scan. Get there and it's going to be a number right at the top right corner. And then that's how you can find whatever your maintenance calories is, which pretty much it tells you how much you burn. If me and you sat in this seat for 24 hours and didn't move, we just sat here and talked, we would still burn that amount of calories a day, just based off being awake, talking, whatever the case is. So you need to be under that by X amount of calories in order to be in a deficit. And then you just eat within that range.
And is that the what they call the BMI?
Yep.
The BMI.
So your BMI is like your body fat. Okay. So your BMR is the basal metabolic rate. So that tells you how much you burn throughout the day. Your BMI is your body fat, which will drop the more you drop weight if you're doing it correctly. So those are the 2 words, surplus and deficit. You want to gain weight, be in a surplus. You want to lose weight, you want to be in a deficit. So that's how you would scientifically approach to, wanting to lose weight. But at the same time, prioritize your sleep, prioritize your hydration and nutrition, and then kick in the exercises after that. Once you get down that foundation and that routine of those things, like it's not a coincidence they say sleep 8 hours a day. Now as you get an adult, like who really does that? But the more sleep you can get, I probably get like 5 or 6 because my daughter's in my bed kicking.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got a 3-year-old,
right? But I sneak in naps. I don't care what nobody says. So I try to get that 8 any way I can. So those are the 4 things I would say.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And I think it and that's why I think you see a lot of times like with the simple water, like staying hydrated. I think that's why, like you say, it's what did you call it? It's a natural
diuretic. So it literally flushes you out.
And so that's why you see a lot of people sometimes like in the beginning of their fitness journey, right? Like it's so easy for them to see like a loss of like 10, 20 pounds right off the back, right? Because as soon as they fix their water intake, all of a sudden, because I know that's happened to me, like where, man, like I start to notice it more in my face. Like I start to notice the like I feel like, man, that's where I pack on a lot of pounds, man, like my face. So as soon as like I, fix something as simple as that, as the water, I start to notice it, and I start to see like, oh, okay. But then after that, like that's where the work starts.
Yes, the actual work behind it, and it's all effort, just making those conscientious decisions. And okay, instead of staying up to 1 o'clock, video editing or whatever it is that you're into, maybe I'd stay up till 11. Just those like little 2 hours. All right, instead of drinking 3 bottles, I'm going to try to drink 5. I'm not telling you to go run and drink a gallon right now. Like, that's not the case. So. And then again, taking that initial step and going to go talk to somebody about nutrition, talk to a nutritionist, talk to a personal trainer, talk to these people who can put you in the right direction. I know anyone who personal trains with me, I create plans for them. So if you don't want the plan, I can literally tell you like, all right, these are a list of food groups you may want to eat and stay away from these food groups. And so that way you have some type of idea on what you need to be doing when you're not with me.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. That's really key. I know that's going to help a lot of people. And then the next thing is, how do I? So, if let's say, man, I get my sleep in check. I start. My hydration is in check. I take that next step, man, where I'm exercising. How can I create? Because I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Is how do I create that balance of making sure that I stay in step with my workout routine?
That's tough. Balance we're all in search of it, right? In a sense, whether you do it in the gym or just in life in general. It's like one day you're working too much, the next day you're not working enough, or whatever that you're in search of that. But when it in terms of fitness, it's even hard for me to find, because it's like I have this goal. Like I'm relentless when it comes to my goal, but then that goal requires time. So that means you're sacrificing time elsewhere.
Right.
So the best approach that I would say is definitely have a support system around you, and have those around you who understand what it is that you're trying to do. So you want to give back to yourself. Give yourself that hour of time in the gym, or even at home. You can do home workouts too.
Right.
Give yourself that hour, and then don't make it the end all be all. This is speaking more so to like lifestyle people.
Right.
It's not the end all be all for you to, go have brunch with your girls, or go have dinner with your boys, or go out on a date with your spouse. Like, you're okay. You can go do that.
Right.
It's not going to mess up your body. One meal is not going to mess up your body. But just know, like, once you do that, get back on track.
Right.
And those are the things that I say, what I tell my clients all the time. Like, I'm not telling you not to go out. I'm not telling you not to vacation. In fact, you should do these things.
Yeah.
Once you do that, just get back on track.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, you should be doing these things. Like what they say, enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Right.
Like, you should do those things. So you get those who's like, oh, I don't want to eat this because it's going to mess up my body, or I don't want to take a vacation, or I don't want to do this. So it's like two ends of the spectrum. You got ones who don't want to do anything, and the ones who's just like, well, I thought I followed the plan, and like they're just all over the place. Like, no, they're, again, the happy medium, the balance. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do my work. I'm going to push myself as hard as I can. And then when I get the opportunity to, I'm going to go out with my friends, or go out with my spouse and go enjoy, a concert, or whatever the case is, and have this, steak dinner, or whatever the case is. And then the next day it's like, oh, that was fun. Like, I needed that break. All right, back to work.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And life is like that in general. If if you're working a 9 to 5, because I do social work, you work your 9 to 5, like, all right, I got to do this and do this. All right. Boom, 6 o'clock. All right, I got to train clients. All right, I got to do my training. Same thing. And then it's just like, all right, I get home. Like, everything has its section. But there's days where I'm like, you know what, babe, I think we need a date. And like, we just need to get out. And that's we're actually going to do that in 2 weeks. So that's the balance for me. And it's difficult for me because, again, like, I'm so focused on everything. It's just like, you know what? I need to bring myself peace, because I'm so engulfed in my work or engulfed in my routine. Like, you just need a break from that routine sometimes. And that's the balance.
I like that. I like that what you said, like finding that peace. Because I think sometimes, like, it can become chaotic. Like, you can create, like, nobody's even creating it for you. Like, we can create our own chaos, like, with trying to balance our schedules and trying to, like, break our head with, like, what time should I do this? What time should I do that? What time? And I love how you said that. Like, I think there could be peace in the midst of that, because, we can determine that. We can easily just be like, hey, you know what? Like you said, today we need a date, or let's put it on the calendar for next week. Like, you know what, let's change the routine. Or even people can, I know I've done that before, because one of the things that I used to really try to, it wasn't even anyone's pressure. It wasn't even like the pressure from my wife or anything. But I remember I used to, try to go to the gym as much as possible. And then, with small kids, it can become hard, because now you have, little ones that you want to spend time with too. So what I started to do is like, man, like, let's go to the backyard. You know what I mean? Like, let's do a workout back there, and you guys just run around, you know what I mean? Or you guys join or whatever, And so you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and I think that's kind of speaks into that, like, where you kind of have to speak peace into your situation. And you have to create it, because we create that chaos sometimes, where, like you said, especially if there's a lot of goal-oriented people that, no, I gotta smash these goals. Like, I have to, like, and it's understandable, because I know, like, for you, you're a pro, right? You're an IFBB Pro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I know that there's just a different mentality that comes with that. There's a different work ethic that comes with that. There's competitions. There's, you're a competitor, and so I know that probably for you, that's probably
it gets a little blurry sometimes, just because, again, for that element of fitness, balance is almost zero sometimes. So because there's like, when I first started, my wife, we used to go out like every Saturday, if every other Saturday, just so when I thought I was doing fitness right and just having cheat meals every Saturday. But it was just one of those things where that completely became obsolete. And I'm like, I couldn't, like, I have this plan, like I have to follow this plan is what's going to get me to the stage and the body I need. So I sacrificed that, and then that turns into sacrificing our time. Like, man, I can't miss this session. Like, I need to get to the gym. Like, I had all this stuff I got to do. And it's just like, dang, you got to go to the gym at 11 o'clock at night. Like, yeah, I haven't been able to work out all day. So you become that chaos that you're talking about just because you're pursuing this goal. And thank God I'm taking the year off from competing because, like, I turned pro in 2021. And one of the best moments ever, because it was a promise to my mom who had passed away, which today is the day she passed away, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It became a promise for her, like, I'm going to turn pro. And I ended up doing it. And it was like this pressure just got off me. And I was like, man, I'm taking a month off from the gym. Now, did I? No. But it was like one of those things, like, I felt relieved. And I was like, man, I'm going to do whatever. Like, babe, whatever you want to do, let's take our daughter. Like, it was just a relief because I didn't feel that pressure of, I don't have to work out tomorrow. I don't have to eat this.
Right.
I don't have to do this. And that brought some balance back into my life. So, if you're very goal-oriented, it is hard to find that balance because typically your goal is your balance in a sense. So it's kind of crazy when you say that. But it's hard to find, but don't be afraid to give back to yourself. That's what I'll say.
100%. And I think that goes a lot to even like because I know that there's a lot of overthinkers like that before they step into the gym, kind of going back to the first question. I think that is what kind of breaks a lot of people's heads, is like they try to figure out the balance before the practical, and it's kind of like it's never going to be a perfect fit, perfect match, like unless, and even if you're single, you know what I mean? Like, I know for single people it's probably easier because there's less, but even in your single stage, like with no kids or anything, like it's still hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that because it's, what's that called? Like a teeter-totter? I think so.
Yeah.
So if
the ones on the playground,
right? So if you're on one end, you're single, you're living your life, you're doing the gym thing. There's stuff on this other side that's not part of that life.
Yeah.
And that's the side that's going to weigh it down, and that's the side that's going to tilt you up. So you may have a friend like, hey, let's go out to eat, let's go do this. No, I got to go to the gym. All right, let's teeter back. All right, well, we're going on vacation. Oh, why? What do you want to do? I don't think I'm ready yet.
Yeah.
So it's that teetering process, right? So it's all this stuff over here. You're missing to chase whatever it is that you're chasing. And you have to be okay with that. The trick is, how do you find yourself getting to the middle? Like, what's going to pull both of those sides to the middle? And that's really personal, however you want to do that. Yeah. So like for me at this time, it's just more so, I'm not in competition mode. So whatever my family wants to do, this is my time to give back to them. Yeah. Because I took so much time away. Yeah. Now, the opposite side of that is the bodybuilding side, because I'm in like, I'm ready to go. But I'm like, no, I still get to go to the gym. I still get to coach. I still get to be involved. Like, I have to look at the beauty in that aspect of it as well. And that's how you create your balance. Your balance is what you make it. Yeah,
yeah. And it kind of goes back to like what your idea and your vision for your podcast is, which is, the going into the mindset, and being willing to be flexible. I think that really is, I really believe flexibility is a gift that we never stop cultivating. Like, I believe it's always being cultivated. It's always being challenged. it's always being, because like you said earlier, because life's moments always shift. You know, there's always something, you know, one moment you're single, next moment you might be married, next moment you might have a kid on the way, you know, next moment, you know, wife might be sick or you may be sick, or, you know, vice versa. Things always shift, or careers change, things like that. So I think it's almost like a muscle, I believe, like that we need to continuously develop, which is like flexibility, learning how to be flexible, learning how to flow with the punches, learning how to, and not always with the punches, but even being willing to make the changes before the punches even start, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
all the time, and you have to be willing to continue to work on it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, that's some wealth of knowledge right there, man. That's for a lot of people, man. That if you're looking to for the balance right here, man, rewind that if you need to listen to that again, man.
But balance is what you create yourself.
Yes. And next question. So as far as that, you know, what are the best exercises, you know, balanced workout routine. Now, there's a lot of information out there. In your experience, man, what would you speak into as far as what's the difference and what are the benefits between strength training and cardio? Like, what would you, and are both needed, or is one better than the other? What are your thoughts on that?
First, both are needed. I will say that they both do different things, but they're both needed. So when you talk about cardio, you're talking about cardiovascular, your heart, and you do your cardio, you have a healthy heart. So there's more to it nutritionally, but to kind of sum it up that way, doing your cardio provides you healthy energy, stamina, and allows the blood flowing into the heart. So, you know, stuff like that. When you talk about strength training, you're talking about working the muscles, how we were talking about exercises, whether you're bench pressing or pull-ups or pushing a sled or leg pressing or whatever the case is. So that's strength training. So I'm going to say, depending on goals, you may do one more than the other. So I have a lot of people come in and they say, I want to lose weight, I want to tone. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Well, I want my leg to look like this, and, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, what have you been doing prior to coming to see me? Oh, well, so I want to lose weight, so I just been doing like an hour of cardio.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to establish where that's gotten you before I tell you what I'm about to tell you.
Right.
Because what the cardio does, if you do too much of it, it burns muscle. Right? Especially if you're not adding strength training with it.
Right.
So if you're going to trump one over the other, I would say strength training, because there's ways of incorporating cardio within your strength training. Like, for example, if we're going to do 6 exercises, right? Instead of that 90-minute rest period or even a minute rest period, I might cut your rest period to 30 seconds. Your heart's going to
your heart spikes.
You see what I'm saying? So that way, I'm not allowing you to recover as fast as far as the cardio aspect of it.
Right.
Or we go into what's quick hit, where I might drop a medicine ball on the floor, a kettlebell on the floor, a placemat on the floor, and then I have a sled right here.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're going to do 20 ball slams. We're going to do 20 kettlebell squats. We're going to do 20 sit-ups, and then you're going to push this sled to the end and back. All that strength training, but all that's one set. Cardio involved.
Yeah.
Or you have the simplistic way that I do it. I do my strength training, I do my cardio. I separate. I separate.
Yeah.
So one is because I don't want the operative thing for me is muscle, because I'm in bodybuilding. So that's always going to take priority, because the more muscle you build, the more fat comes down. The more fat comes down, the more weight comes down. So that's, for me, that's always going to take precedent.
Right.
And then when you embody the cardio, it's a tool. It's not the end all be all. But what actually takes more precedent than cardio is your nutrition, because if you're eating right with strength training, everything's going to go in the right directions. Muscle up, fat down, body fat down, weight down.
Yeah.
And then you add in the cardio, then it's just like, all right, now that's almost like adding like caffeine to your day.
Yeah.
Like I'm up, you spike it with caffeine, that's the cardio.
Right.
Like, all right, now I'm really up. Because everything's working, everything's in routine, everything's processed. So again, you're not going to trump one or the other. Like I have some elderly clients, like I have them walking like 45 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. That's because they need to keep moving. Like they sit a lot in the day. So you're going to do this 45-minute walk, and then make sure when they're not with me, like making sure make sure you do your walks, make sure you're on the treadmill, make sure you're on the elliptical, whatever the case is. And then they focus on strength training with me. Yeah. So versus others who, I have a few girls like, I'm trying to get ready for the summer. I'm going here. I'm going there. Like, all right, well, we got to lift and we got to do this. Oh, we got to lift this. And I'm like, yes, like you're not going to turn into a bodybuilder overnight. That's not the way that works.
Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's a big misconception when people are like, no, I'd rather do cardio. That's why I'd rather do cardio. I don't want to be bulky, right?
It's a bad misconception. Like if you're gonna lift this weight, you're just automatically gonna turn into like the buffest person on earth. Like that's not the way that works. It took me almost 5 years to look the way that I look, in a sense, and that's just progress over time and consistency. But the misconception comes from a lot of women. I'll just call it what it is, and it's not to be like gender bias or anything like that. But that's typically where I hear that response from. So lucky for me, I have female bodybuilders around me, and then I'll point to them and I'm like, okay, well, how does she look? Oh, she looks good. And I said, well, she lifts 6 times a week. Yeah. Really? I said, she can squat like 250. But she's a bodybuilder. You don't want to look like her? And they'll go, well, she doesn't look bad. And I said, exactly. I said, you lifting weights is not going to get you to look. You're probably looking at me like you don't want to look like me. You're not going to, which is fine. I don't think no one wants you to look like me. Sometimes I don't even want to look like me.
Female embodiment of Jon, IFBB Pro.
Absolutely not. Swinging the hair and everything. But so that's how I kind of play the mind game with them in a sense. And then once I'm like, I'm not going to have you lifting like 50, 100 pounds. If you can, cool. But again, the 10-pound dumbbell story. Yeah. Like, I don't have to give you an enormous amount of weight for you to work the muscles that we're going to work. You want to build muscle, that's what toning is. Toning, like, there's various definitions that come with toning, but ultimately what you mean is you just want to build muscle and you want this body part of yours to look a certain way. Like, it's another misconception. All guys, they focus on arms and chest and back, and then all girls focus on his legs and glutes. And to some degree, it's true. But if you want to tone anything, you got to lift weight. You got to strength train. And you got to work those muscle groups so they can grow. And then going back to the priorities, you're really tearing down your body in the gym. Yeah. You're recovering in your sleep. Yeah. That's where, so if you take my fingers, right, in the gym, you're tearing it apart. In your sleep, it's recovering and adding more tissue if you're doing everything else right. That's why sleep is so important. Yeah. That's why hydration is so important. That's why your nutrition is so important. So to all the ladies out there, like, just if you want to grow muscle and tone, lift your weights, please. Yeah. Strength train. Cardio, use it if necessary if you're trying to lose weight. I've had clients who've done no cardio with me in their first month and they lost like 7 pounds. Yeah. And that's and is it true that that what strength training does, basically what you're saying is that, because I know there's a lot of that out there, and I just want to make sure that that is true, is basically when you're lifting weights, you know, on your recovery days, right, in your sleep and everything, is it true that you're burning more calories in your rest period? Is that true? Yeah, so within the session, if you're really being intentional and intense during your sessions, Yeah, when you're resting, you're going to continue to burn calories, especially so those who work out in the morning, like when I'm in prep, typically it's fasted cardio. So empty stomach, making sure like I start getting those steps in, calories out, and now I'm burning nothing but fat at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like, so that starts the day, and then you're just continuously burning throughout the day. You're going to be moving throughout the day. Remember your basal metabolic rate. If it's already, say it's 2,400 calories, you're going to burn that anyway. So if you start off burning like 300-400 calories and you get in the body moving, that just kind of ramps that process up in a sense. And the same thing even within a session, like if we're resting for 90 seconds, but I'm pretty much being real hard on you for that set,
right?
Then you're still going to keep burning through that 90 seconds, but you're recovering in a sense as far as your heart, your muscles, but you're still burning calories in a sense.
Yeah. And that's why, like, sometimes, because I've heard that all the time, you know, and it's and it makes perfect sense because, you know, even in the recovery process, like you say, you're tearing the muscle, right? And then in the recovery process, your body is basically working itself, right, to recover that. So that's how that rest period recovery, the rest period, like all those calories that you're losing during that rest period comes in. So if like people, like to your experience, like I don't know if you have like an actual number or maybe even just a calculated guess, but like let's say a strength training session, you know, you burn, you know, up to 300 to 400 calories, right, on a good 30-minute, 1 hour, you know, but that could easily turn into like, what would you say, like after recovery and everything, you could easily burn up to like what?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example for me. So like usually my BMR is around like 2,300, something like that.
Okay.
So during like a strength training session, I'll usually burn around anywhere between 400 and 500 calories because I'm pretty much tracking it on my watch. Right. So then you have that. And then if I do cardio, right now it's typically between 150 and 250 calories. Okay. So adding all that, so you got 2,200 plus 400, 2,600 plus, say, the 150. So now you're looking at 2,750 calories for the day, right? Yeah. So if I'm trying to lose weight, I might want to be under that, right? So that's how you get into like the details of how to calculate macros and stuff like that.
So if you're losing weight, you don't want to go above that.
No, I don't want to go above that. So that's basically, I play this game called calories in versus calories out. Yeah. Whatever I'm pushing out, I need to be under that as far as what I'm intaking. So that's like the game you play with like calories and stuff like that. So that's how you calculate it and you try to figure out, all right, well, this is my ballpark number as far as if I want to lose weight. Yeah. Now, if I just want to stay where I'm at, then I just need to eat around that number, so 26, 2,700, something like that. So that's how that kind of works out.
Yeah. But the mistake we typically make is like, okay, we burned all this, and then boom, we go and we hit we hit 3-4 meals, and each of them are like 2,000 calories.
A funny story, right? So before getting into bodybuilding, like I love In-N-Out. I'm from Cali.
Oh yeah, In-N-Out. So, shout out to In-N-Out. Sponsor us.
Yeah, shout them out. So every Saturday, like I used to work hard during the week, and I used to run to go get my in-body test to kind of see where I'm at, thinking I was doing the right thing. I know I was probably putting on nothing but fat, and it's funny, like if you look at these pictures, I thought I looked good. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But every Saturday, like I'll go weigh in, I'm like, all right, yeah, we good. I'll run it in and out. I'm like, yeah, let me get 2 4x4s, grilled onions, no tomatoes, and let me get 2 fries, animal style. Every Saturday, just because I was rewarding myself, right? Balance. And then you step into the bodybuilding world, and it's like, I told my coach, he's like, well, no, there's no way you're doing that ever. And then like when they start breaking this, like the science behind it, it's like, yeah, that was like backwards. Yeah. And I'm not saying, look, if you want to eat 4x4s, your business.
Right,
like, do it. Every now and then I still do it. I'm not guilty of not doing it. I'm not perfect or anything like that. But at the same time, there is a science behind losing weight. there is a science behind gaining weight if you want to do it correctly.
Right.
If you don't, and you burn 2,700 calories like me, and you would go get these 4x4s on Saturdays, and sometimes throughout the week, like, I don't feel like following any meals, let me go eat this. You're going to eat well over the 2,700 cap. You're going to do that every time. And I'll give you an example right now. I know a 4x4 from In-N-Out is almost 1,300 calories.
Yeah.
I put it in my fitness pal.
Yeah.
So 2 of them, 2,600 right there. And that's one meal. I didn't even count the fries.
Yeah. Like, animal style. Right. All that cheese.
It's good, but you see where it leads you.
Yeah. No, I remember the first time I got a meal plan, the very first time years ago. And same thing, like I always had a good metabolism, but of course, like in my early 20s when I was, I was just, I would eat anything, and I would just kind of, and I would, I'd be 2-3 hours. At that time, I'd really go I'd go an hour before work. I'd either strength train or do cardio. And then after work, I would go and I would literally like get out at 6 p.m. and I'd be there till about like 8, 9. So I was like dedicated, but I would like eat like crap, I would just, and so first time I got the meal plan, it was right there, and they like cheat meal, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what are they gonna allow me to eat? And I look at the cheat meal, I'm like, this isn't a cheat meal, man. It was like, like a burger, but like grass fed, and then it like no bun or gluten-free bun. And no ketchup, you know what I mean? Like I was like
all that the good stuff.
All like instead of the fries, like get this. I'm like, man, that's not a cheat meal. Really I was so disappointed, man. I'm like, no, but it makes sense, like, because what you're saying is true. Is that there is a science behind it, and these nutritionists, these coaches like yourself and things like that. They know, it, depending on the goal, like they know how to get you there, and a lot of times, like we think that eventually, man, it all catches up to us. We can only outwork the bad for so long, right?
And you don't know what goes into that bad. Like if you eat, like if people would literally just, if they knew how, again, consultation, calculate what they're eating, you would realize how much bad you're eating calorie wise. I'll just start there and I'll end it there. But calorie wise, you like, and I didn't know this until getting into bodybuilding. I was like, well, let me, like, this is the stuff I used to eat. Let me put it on. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I was consuming like 4,000 calories of just like nonsense on Saturdays for no reason. Thinking like, oh, like I'll burn this off. Not really. You see, you don't burn that much throughout the day. Right. You see that, right? Yeah. So, but go to IHOP and get a stack and some eggs, you might be at your cap.
That's true, man. That one meal, like you're already dang. So, but and then no, that's good. That's really good. That's really good insight for people. Because I know a lot of people are afraid of, like, man, should I strength train? Should I? But I really like how you kind of put that down for people is, it's both, I mean, it really is depending on your goal, because there are people that might be getting ready for, they might be getting ready for a marathon, right? Mm-hmm. There's people that might start the gym because, they're going to do a Spartan race, or something. And so, of course, you're going to design their workout plan based on those goals, right? And so that's why there never is like one size fits all, like there's people that, you might lose, a ton of weight running, but then as soon as you stop, like that's, where you see a lot of people like their weight comes back or things like that. Why? Because strength training could have helped, keep that balance. But, for whatever reason, maybe they weren't at a runner and that's what they enjoy doing and things like that, But I've seen a lot of people transition from that where it's like, I used to just run, but then something happened. And then I think that's even when I got more serious about strength training after I blew my ACL. was because like I couldn't run anymore.
Right.
I couldn't sprint. Like a lot of my workouts before that were like I loved incorporating running, sprints, things like that. And so after I did that, I was like, man, I can't do it. But I didn't want to like blow up either. Like, so I gotta focus on strength training, you know? And so that's some really good advice for people out there, man. Just don't be afraid, you know, and all the ladies out there, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to pick up those weights, you know?
Just wait.
All right, let's go on to the next one. So the benefits and everything. So this is a good one. And I think this is something that, and it's even cool how it's kind of like halfway there, like, because I know that halfway into our fitness journey, sometimes we can start to lose motivation, right? And what is the difference? The question is, how can I stay motivated to exercise regularly? But even if you can kind of break down the difference between motivation and discipline.
The keys to life.
So give us the goal, John.
The goal. I'm gonna try. But the difference is doing what you want versus what you need. That's like the key terms of that. So if you're motivated, which you're not always motivated, motivation wavers all the time. Discipline is something you've built and you have, right? So with the motivation, if you're motivated, you're going to want to do something. Like, okay, I'm getting ready to go to Hawaii in November for my birthday. Me and my wife talked about it. We booked it, take our daughter out there, cool. Oh, I'm extra motivated to get in shape now. Believe it. So that's the key. You move that stimulant away, which is Hawaii. All right, well, I'll get ready later. Discipline, no matter if Hawaii is there or not, I'm going to be ready for me. This is something I need to do. So that's the difference. So when you add in these variables that bring motivation along, those variables move. It's like a moving target. They move away, they come, they go. And that's what your motivation does. Right. It comes and it goes. Some days you have it, some days you don't. Some days you driving to work, somebody cut you off, or we got a problem all day with everybody. And then some days, today's gonna be a good day. Like I got my work done, I went to the gym, I did this. Like you have those days. They're few and far in between. They may not be. Who knows? No matter what's going on, discipline is saying, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this. Right. There is no negotiating with self. And that's what happens. A lot of people will negotiate with yourself.
Talk about it.
The funny thing is when you negotiate with yourself with stuff that you know you need to do, you lose every time. Like, and it's funny, you're battling yourself and you lose. So
because you always be your number one convincer.
Absolutely. Especially if it's something you don't want to do. So that's the difference between motivation and discipline. But how do you stay motivated? You set realistic goals. Like the number one thing like I get when I get new clients, I'm like, all right, what are your goals? I want to lose 30 pounds in a month. All right. That's going to be tough. Like, how do we do that? And one, is it sustainable? Let's try making it more realistic. Right. Let's try maybe a pound a week. Let's go there. I was like, and then I'll ask, like, do you even know what 30 pounds will look like in a month? Like, you might look like a totally different person. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's not healthy to even do that. Right. So it hasn't been done, but you're going to look like a totally different person. But set goals that are actually reachable, obtainable, measurable, like all these things to where when you're hitting your target, it, again, the stimulant.
It's like it feeds it.
It feeds the motivation.
You're like, okay, 1 pound this week. Okay, cool. Let's,
There you go. You keep it going. So setting realistic goals, keeping supportive people around you. Again, you're not going to have it every day, but those people around you, hey, don't worry about it. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Like we talked about it when I came last time, how so many times I was ready to quit my PhD. But I have my wife behind me like, oh, you're going to finish it. You're going to finish it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I ain't trying to hear that. But she's right. Like sometimes you need that extra kick to like, you know, you're going to do this. Like just one day at a time. And that's the thing. One day at a time. Don't come and say, all right, I'm going to lose these 10 pounds. And then you try to jump to the 10 pounds the next day. That's not the way it works. Be realistic and, all right, win the day. All right, I won today. I went to work. I did my gym. I ate all the food I was supposed to eat. Cool. Let me go to sleep. Wake up. I really won yesterday. All right, let's try to do it again. And the more you start compounding those days together, you start developing discipline. And it becomes
like it automatically just kind of ties in, like without you even knowing, but it's becoming part of you. It's becoming something that like your body it's almost like your body begins to ask for it. You're like, hey, there's something in you twitching, like what's going on? Like you should be at the gym. And that's kind of like that discipline chip in you.
There's days I do not have it. And typically this month and last month, usually April, May, June is like ups and downs, just because like people that are close to me pass. But it's one of those things where it's just like, all right, let me just get in the car. All right, let me turn this music on. Like, all right, well, we're here now.
What are you going to do?
We're here now. But again, like that first step, because if you don't get in that car, you probably not going to go.
Yeah. I know I've done that, man. I've done that where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. And then I forget something, man. And then like all of a sudden I'll find myself on the bed, man.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm like I thought I was going to go to the gym. Yeah, I don't know. And then you start, like you say, you start negotiating with yourself and you start saying, well, you know what? I don't have to go right now. Maybe I'll go, later. I'll go at 8, 9 or after the kids. But then once once that time comes around, you're like, you're tired, you're discouraged or this, or you're tired, and so, I really like that question, and it's something that I think a lot of people need to hear that, I love that even what you said, setting realistic goals. Like, I think that's super key because we do live in a generation and in a time where we are used to fast results. We are, we're in the, right now we're in the stage where, everything is, 30 seconds or under, we all want to, and it's tough, even as content creators, as, I know even for as coaches, personal trainers, things like that, like it can be tough because we're used to, through social media and through everything, we're used to seeing these like, even right now there's like a huge trend. I don't know if it's on TikTok or Instagram, but, there's a huge trend where, it kind of slides your before and after, and so it can become discouraging because, when you're starting out and you begin to see these things, you're like, man, I want that end result. Like I need that end result. I'm craving that end result. You know what I mean? But I've been doing this for a month now, man, and I still feel the same. I still look the same, and I think that goes along that where it's because we set unrealistic goals,
exactly.
Instead of like I've always kind of looked at it where, I'm like, like I think I don't remember exactly when, but I remember when I finally kind of like tuned in and said, I need to stop focusing on, okay, this is what I want, and I need to just focus on like, I need to just make this a lifestyle. Like I need to just make this part of my life. You know what I mean? Like where, and I started to set like realistic goals. Like, I'm going to gym 3 to 4 times a week. You know what I mean? Like that's the minimum, 3 to 4, and what started happening was that like, I started like 3 to 4 was like, started to become easy. It was like, oh, 3 to 4, like cool. And then there wasn't 3 to 4, it was 5 to 6 days, sometimes 7 days, you know what I mean? And so because I started to set realistic goals. I'm like, yeah, I could easily do 3 days a week. I know I can do it. I know I have the time. I know I can make the time. 3 days a week, that's easy. You know what I mean? And once you start, like you said, once you start seeing that you're doing it, it's like, oh man, like you start to kind of feeds into that motivation, you know? And then little by little, by the time you know it, it's like, oh man, this just becomes part of my life. It's a discipline in my life where I need the gym. I need to do cardio. I need to move. I need to walk. I need to do this, you know? So I really like that, man. Anything you want to add?
No, it's just don't be so hard on yourself. And like it's so easy to be hard on yourself because, again, like you said, the 30 seconds or less, the microwave generation where everybody wants it so fast. But anything that's good takes time. Yeah. Like, and that's just is what it is. Like when we're bodybuilding, we go through 16-week preps. That's 4 months. So that's like the typical prep range for a lot of people. Yeah. So again, like you may have a friend who's doing a show wherever they start at, you don't see them till 4 months later. It's like, dang, like you really transformed. To you, it looked like he transformed overnight because you just seen like, man, I just seen you like not too long ago. No, that was really 4 months ago. And they've been pounding the pavement every day. So everything takes time and motivation wavers, but just keep piling those days up. It'll turn into discipline and it'll turn into a lifestyle. Like for me, it's not even a second thought. There's times where I'm like, man, I really don't feel like going. And I use that trick and just get in the car. Just get in the car
and start driving.
It works all the time. I find a song like, all right, we going. There it is.
No, that's what's up, man. So people just stay motivated. Stay, you know, it's even like those. It's kind of like when sometimes it's real common, like when breakups. You know what I mean? Like when someone breaks up, like one of the first things, like I'm gonna get into the gym. You know what I mean?
Number one motivator.
Number one. That's a big motivation right there. Man. A lot of people get motivated by that, but then they hook up with someone, and then boom, that motivation's just like thrown out the window, man. Like going out to eat every night and this and you know. But that's why that's super key, you know, for a lot of people to understand that it's got to come to a point where it just has to become a discipline in our life, you know?
Yes.
And do you see kind of staying on that a little bit? Because maybe you can kind of speak into people, have those gym disciplines, have you seen them like be effective and even translate into like your everyday life? And even, I know you said you're on your way to get your PhD, right?
Yeah, because even for me, it again, like you're sacrificing time, like with my wife and my daughter, especially like having a daughter now. It's just like, man, I don't like taking time from her. Like if we as parents, if you could be there every second, you could, right? But again, it's not realistic. But when I first time father, I'm like, I ain't missing a second. Yeah, right. You got to go to work. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, all right, I'm not motivated to go to work like I used to. Why? Because I'd rather be home with my daughter. Or I'm not as motivated to go to the gym. Why? Because I'd rather be home with my wife and my daughter.
Right.
So that's when discipline has to kick in. And then you have to be realistic with yourself. All right, you're going to go, do what you need to do, get back. And whenever you're in that space, stay in that space. Give them that time. Don't deviate and, all right, I'm here, but, I got clients. Let me do this and let me do that. I was notorious for that. Like, I'm still checking in on clients. And then my wife had to tell me, like, hey, like, when you're with us, you're with us. You know what? You're right. So, again, be balanced. So, it's just one of those things where it's just like that gym life, the bodybuilding life, that taught me the greatest amount of discipline. Like, dreams and aspirations of becoming an NBA player. Just because you're good doesn't mean you're going to make it. And I was very blessed to have requisite skills to actually get recruited by a D2 and a D1. Now, that's a whole nother story as far as why them scholarships didn't land in my lap from the coach, but we'll talk about that another day. So, but when I got into bodybuilding, and I found out you can turn pro, and I go to my first 3 national shows and I don't turn pro, and it's like heartbreaking because I had this promise attached to it.
Yeah.
And then going into the last one, I just went into like this dark space. Like, I don't care how I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn pro. That discipline and work ethic was never applied when I played basketball. And I literally figured out the difference.
And you were an athlete.
And I was an athlete, but I was like, man, I didn't work nearly as hard as what I did to try to turn pro. And that's when I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. I really get it, what it means to be disciplined, because when I was younger, I was eating McDonald's and Jack in the Box all the time. Like, oh, I'm always going to, because that's when I lost the weight. Like, I'm good. New.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so true.
So
man.
Yeah, the bodybuilding world, the fitness world has taught me the greatest amount of discipline.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And yeah, and I know a lot of people attribute their business success, their a lot of high performing people, a lot of high performing business owners, coaches, and it's part of their life. You know what I mean? Like, they might not be in the forefronts like with bodybuilding, or they might not be a pro or competing or an actual athlete in a sport, but so many people, like, they attribute their success. You know, they say it, you know, like, man, it's exercise is part of their life. You know, it's part of their daily routine. It's like even before they go to work or while they're working, you know, it's because I think that sometimes, man, like when you're performing at a high level and whatever it may be, you know, even like podcasting or even like content creation, a lot of people, business owners and people that are even in the office, like your mind is running 24/7, you know, and even construction workers, people that are out there in the field, you know, you're constantly like, you're breaking yourself down, but in a different way. And a lot of people don't realize, and maybe you can speak into that, like what exercise actually kind of does, because it's a different type of stress hormone, right? That's being released in your body. Absolutely. As opposed to like, because a lot of people would say that, like, I know my dad used to say that he was a construction worker, like most of his life, you know, the hard labor, and he'd be like, well, I don't need to work out. Like, I do this, you know what I mean? But he was always stressed out, you know, things like that. And so I started finding to realize, like, well, yeah, it's because, and then I heard it once, like, hard work, even labor, like, yeah, it's physical work, but you're releasing a different type of stress hormone, as opposed to when you're in the gym, you're focused, you're zoning, and you're doing cardio or you're doing strength training. Do you have anything to kind of say about that?
Yeah. So even for me, even from like a clinical standpoint, like when I'm in the gym, headphones, it's one of those things where, all right, this is like my therapy in a sense. Like, this is my break away from everything for this hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever the case is. So that mindset alone allows me to release different hormones. In a sense. So like, it's all about that mindset. Like, if you get into the gym, like, oh, I really don't want to be here, and you're kind of just going through the motions and touching weights here and doing this, then it's actually stressful. Yeah. Because your mindset is creating that stress.
It's becoming work.
Yeah, it's becoming work. So when you're, again, working, like you said, how your dad was, like, yeah, he may be getting a workout in, but it's still work, versus me in the gym. It's a different type of work, but I'm actually working on me.
Right.
So that's always my mindset. Okay, this is my time to get 1% better, 2% better. Yeah. Like, how do I do that? Okay, today's back day, which is my favorite day. So it's just like, all right, I know I have to focus on these areas. And when I'm hitting these areas, and then like, I'll check like, okay, yeah, we're good. I'm targeting the right muscles. Like, all this is like releasing those good hormones in me to actually feel good when I'm done after the workout. Yeah. So like, that's how that works. So, and then ultimately, like, when you start seeing results, the results you want to see, it makes you feel good to go back into that place, to go see your trainer, to go push harder, no matter how much it may burn. You're still pushing harder. So, and it becomes a psychological thing, to where it's just like, you know what, this is my happy place. So I know, like, whenever I'm going through anything, I'll be at the gym.
Yeah. No, it really is kind of, and we can even kind of lead into the next question with that, because with mental health, you know what I mean, like, I 100% agree with that. I mean, exercising for me, you know, I'm not as dedicated as maybe I was at one point in my life, but I still do my best to make it part of my life. And the reason why is because like it really is therapy for me. Like it has become part of my life, but it also has become part of my getting away, my kind of, my therapy, like you said, it's a time where that and golf, like golfing and exercise, those two things, man, they really zone my mind out. They really like take me to a different place. In the golf course, like you're just with nature and just right there. In the gym, it's just your sweat, the music, and it's just you versus you. And so let's talk a little bit about that, man, and how kind of why working out should be, I want to say it that way. It should be part of our life because especially for men and women alike, but what it does to our psyche, what it does to our mental health.
Yeah, interesting enough, man. I've heard a lot about golf doing that to a
Have
lot
you
of
golfed?
people. No, it's
Bro,
something I do want to get into.
Let's go, man.
Yeah,
I'll invite you. I'll be the first one to invite.
I've heard that where it's very calm.
It is, man.
Okay.
It is. It's I just recently went after like 4 months, right, babe? I think like this new year I haven't gone, huh? So like so I recently, a buddy of mine reached out and he's like, hey, let's go to Moreno Valley, Rancho del Sol. They have a beautiful course, bro. Beautiful course. It's the front nine like within the residential, but it's still nice. The back nine, it's all canyon. So you're literally in nature, in canyon. It's beautiful. I mean, you don't even need music. That's how just the tranquility that it brings. It's beautiful, bro.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like the psyche of like working out, why it's needed and how does it help you as far as mental health wise. Yeah. So I'll speak from a personal, point of view. Like I really drove into fitness like when my mom passed. Like it was just one of those things where I was just working out just to try to maintain some shape, look good, whatever the case was. But when my mom passed, I needed something to pour my energy in. Like it was just one of those things where it was like I was stuck in the house for a couple of days. My wife had to pull me out of the house. It was like I didn't know what to do. It was debilitating in a sense. Yeah. But when I was able to meet my coach and we found some commonalities that we had, I was able to pour that energy into working out, and it became more of a passion, in which in return it started fixing where I felt I was going into a depression. So instead of me sitting, isolating, not talking to people reaching out, I'm not even answering back. Yeah. It was one of those things like, no, I need to go to the gym. Like, this is what I need to be doing. My mom didn't want me to sit. Right. Let me go do this. And then I start opening up to more people. So that helped me personally remove myself away from a road that I was definitely going down from a mental health aspect. And then you talk about getting into bodybuilding, I started to see my body in a light that I had never seen before. Yeah. One, because I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff like workouts, and like it's so easy to tell someone, all right, we're going to do 4 sets of 10. Remember, it's how you do it. So now I'm with a coach who's like, all right, yeah, we're going to do this, but you're going to turn here and twist here, hold here. And I'm like, yeah, this is getting old quick.
mind muscle connection.
Yeah, mind muscle. This is all the stuff I started learning getting into bodybuilding. So it's just like you're learning something new while changing your body, and then you're eating these foods, prioritizing this, all these things that slowly morphed me into a happy place where I can, accept what happened with my mom in a sense. Like, do I want her to stay here? Absolutely. But I'm in a position where it's just like, all right, it was God's timing. Yeah. And initially, like, I wasn't ready to accept that. Right. But through the grace of God, put me in line with my coach and pouring me into fitness, I was able to remove that negative energy, that negative mindset, and kind of slowly morph into a positive mindset. So now it's almost like, there's days I don't want to go, but that's a happy place for me, regardless of whatever time it is. There's times where I went to the gym 1 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And it was just like, all right, well, we just gonna drive it to the gym, and I'm in there, I'm a goofball dancing around, headphones on, whatever. There's probably 2 people in there, like whatever. I'm in my zone. Like this is my happy place. So at the end of the day,
I've actually seen you right there at Self-Made. You're probably, right there dancing right there. I'm like, all right.
And I'll probably
there's a few characters there, man, that I'd be like, dude, like that's why I loved Self-Made so much, because it's like
you probably caught me standing on something. But but for everyone else, you mentioned earlier, it can be intimidating to walk into places like that. So I always pride myself on making that a safe haven. I posted on my my page a client who literally they almost lost 30 pounds in 3 months. She has extreme anxiety. She hates being around people. Like even in our session, she's like, hey, focus. You know what I mean? But it's slowly gotten to a place where she wouldn't look around as much or ask as many questions, or when someone walks past, she wouldn't just abruptly jump out of the way. She would just let them walk past. She eventually found a comfort level in being there because she was so happy with her results and everything was working for her. So the gym did that for her. I was just the aid. Like you still have to do the work.
Right.
Like you still, I say this all the time. You're with me for an hour. What you do those other 23 is way more important.
Right.
Are you eating right? Are you sleeping? Are you hydrating? Are you getting your steps in? Like all that other stuff. So when you come see me, I'm literally like the icing on the cake. The cakes, you got to make the cake.
Right.
You got the box instructions, or if you that good, you making it from scratch. But you got to do that. Allow me to put the icing on the cake. So lucky for me, I have a clinical background to where like when clients are going through stuff, and I know this irritates some of the trainers because people come in and they talk about their problems. That's actually my background. Because I practice therapy. I'm a therapist. So it's one of those things. It's just like, all right, well, we can still talk. I can still coach you while you're venting. And before you know it, your hour's up. Literally like a therapy session. You see what I mean? So,
and I think that's the best of both worlds to offer, man. Like, honestly, I mean, that's one of the beautiful things that I've experienced with not only working out, but working with a coach, is, the times that I've had a coach, man, that's been one of the coolest things is that you really do start to see, because for a long time I was not so much, I don't want to say against it, but I would shy away from personal training, or because like you said earlier, like you think you come, you're like, oh, I used to play sports, or I know what to do, or I could figure it out. But I never really like understood, how valuable a coach in your life can be, man, especially when you have that time where you're like, in those situations where you'll find someone where you can vent with, you can chop it up with, talk to, have a conversation with, while at the same time training, and so you're getting the best of both worlds in a sense, because it's like you're being able to vent whatever it is that you might be going through, or just simply sometimes just talking, sometimes just conversating, man. Like sometimes, we can be so stuck, depending the type of work that we do. We could get so stuck. I never realized how stuck I was until like when I did office work for years, and I never realized how stuck I was with just just work. That by the time I'd come home, like I would just be completely shut down, because you're just your mind is just running, and so a lot of times you're just bottling things in. You're holding things in, and sometimes we need the gym is a great place, man, to be able to go, and it's an even bigger plus if you, like you said, man, if you what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take that step to get a coach, to get a trainer, to get someone that's going to be able to like you said, not all trainers, might do that, but still just a sense of having that accountability, of having that like where, that push, that motivation, that encouragement, that accountability. It's huge sometimes, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. Sometimes accountability can, scare people like with check-ins or whatever the case is. But again, like I'm the guide in a sense. Like let me guide you into the direction that you're trying to go. But ultimately, like when you talk about like the psyche, as far as like the gym, frustration, anger, sadness, like anything, like you, even if you're happy, a lot of people don't talk about that too. Like a lot of people, they can be real happy, like, man, I'm just gonna go to the gym. Like, and that's me in that realm. Like, man, I feel good. Like I'm about to go lift. I'm gonna have a great lift today. Whatever the case is. But the gym allows you to I had a client who was like so frustrated with work. All right, we're gonna go slam some stuff. Let's just go slam this ball against the wall, slam it on the ground, like whatever the case is, like release that frustration. And it did a number on her to where it's like, okay, that actually felt good. So I'm not saying like that's like a magic trick, but when you're mad, you want to hit something or you want to go for a walk and scream or whatever the case is. Like, all right, well, that's what kids do. And naturally we have kid instincts when we get older. All right, well, let's go do that. Because that's what kids do. Now, if you was my mom, you probably couldn't scream it out. So you need to go outside. But it's just one of those things. So I try to incorporate stuff like that. Like your emotions are real. They're telling you something is going on.
Right.
What you feel is real. Okay, let's tap into those things. Especially those who, like, you give plans and they don't necessarily follow them to the T. That's like one of the trainer's most frustrating things. Like you're paying me, and I hate things like don't give me free money. Don't do that. Like especially if you have kids. Like if you're gonna pay for this plan, follow it. If you're gonna pay for the training, show up. But if you're not following it, let's talk about why you're not following it, or why you're so hesitant to come to your sessions, or why you're so hesitant to do your check-ins. Like there's a big mental component that comes with that. It's not just, oh, well, I didn't feel like getting this and I didn't want to do this and I didn't want to do that. No, like there's real deep-rooted issues why you're not doing these things. And once we tackle those things, the clients who actually are willing to talk about it, they actually figure out, okay, I really didn't think it was that serious. Or I really didn't think it was this. That actually makes sense. So just in general, like if you, what's the saying goes? If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you do good. Like those, they're all synonymous. So the more you're, pushing your routine and, being motivated and disciplined, you start to, all right, I'm starting to look good. Oh, that's making me feel good. I'm like, all right, we gonna do good. We gonna get in there.
And I think a lot of people don't talk about that aspect because a lot of times looking good, we relate it to just vanity, right? We're just, me personally, I think that, to try to want to look good isn't always necessarily bad, because like you said, it's so true is, let's take, even the situation you shared right now. I'm not sure what was going on. You shared what was going on mentally, but, you didn't really share probably someone else in that situation, maybe physically probably could have started to change, people can zone in and they're just to themselves. They isolate themselves, or maybe they are depressed, or they are anxious. They're nervous, they're insecure. And what begins to happen to their bodies is they begin to see, they gain weight, or this and that. And what that does is you're just fueling what you're already feeling. It just makes you more depressed. It makes you more, because here you are, you're like, man, I fell into this. And now, it's a month or two later, man, I've gained 20, 30 pounds, and then all of a sudden, it's not just at the house, but then you go to work and, you don't feel confident, you know what I mean? So you're not performing your job the way that you could, or you're in construction, you know what I mean? And you're not, you don't hang the same as everyone else. You get tired easier, so there's a lot of factors that a lot of times we don't talk about, because again, we do, let's be real, like it is a pretty vain culture, you know what I mean? Like everyone is trying to look good, and there's nothing wrong with it, you know? Like me personally, I don't take it like that. I take it as like, no, there is that component, there is that factor that we need to talk about, that, you know, part of you doing this, like it is going to take you to that place where it does make you look good. And when you do look good and you're getting compliments and you're getting these feedbacks, and it's going to boost your confidence level. Absolutely. And you're going to be able to perform better. If you're a husband, it's going to make you more confident with your wife. You know, if you're a parent, you know what I mean? Like what is that going to do to you, with your children? You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not going to, you know, like I love, man, like, and I'm not saying it to boast or anything, but I love the fact that I'm able to go to my kids' soccer practices and things like that. And I love the fact that I'm able to kick the ball around with them. You know, I love the fact that I'm able to chase after them. I'm grateful for that opportunity. But a lot of that, you know, if I would have just been stuck in one mentality and one mindset, you know, I would have just been like, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need this, but no, like it's part of like there's looking good isn't always the only goal. Like, but looking good, it does do something to our psyche. It does do something to our mental health. It does do something to our confidence. And it does do something to how we perform in life.
Absolutely. Like, and kind of to tag along with that, sometimes like the goals isn't always about like a number in a sense. So like I've had clients who wanted to lower their high blood pressure. Yeah. Or they had a doctor say, like, look, you may want to go get in the gym because whatever it is that their blood test was reading was kind of off, or whatever the case is. So, and I'm very thankful to have a couple clients that I've had that they don't have any more issues. So nice. That is a motivator in itself. So now they continue the process. They don't stop, because now it's no longer about a look. It's about making sure I'm healthy. Yeah. You see what I mean? So in the process, though, you look good. So that's kind of the residual effect of it. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's really what you want out of the process, or maybe you go into the process not wanting anything and you just need to venture into something, and you're going through something like kind of I was always in the gym. I wasn't always dedicated to the craft as it is now because of whatever the case was. But now, like, I know, like, fitness, I can say fitness has changed my life in a sense, because like, again, when my mom passed, I was going down the wrong path as far as how I felt. And then you talk about it, like when people are depressed, you go one or two ways as far as food wise goes, kind of keeping it nutritional. You're either overeating or you're not eating at all. I was overeating. Yeah.
That's me too.
So I was like overeating, and then it's just like, I don't like the way I look. I feel like crap. I don't want to do nothing. What I just say, look good, feel good, do good. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, all right, well, how can you snap out of it? Do you want to snap out of it? Yeah. And it wasn't until I met my coach where it was just like, all right, well, I'm going to give this bodybuilding a try. Went to Jamaica for our anniversary, and then came back, hit the ground running, and then you start seeing my body's changing. Yeah. Like, oh wow, this stuff really works. Like, I don't want to go see her. She's killing me. Like, my shoulders hurt. I'm gonna go. But eventually you start to transform, and before you know it, I stabilized mentally. Yeah. And it became a blessing to find bodybuilding.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome, Jon, man. Well, I know that's that's a great conversation, man. It's great tools, man. Great knowledge, man. Great pool of knowledge that was just poured out today in this episode. And my prayers and my hope is that this helps someone, you know, because I'm even a big believer that, you know, like you said, you do good, feel good, look good, you know, all that. You know, it even, you know, dives into even our spiritual walk, you know, like if we feel good, if we're doing all this, if we're practicing these practical disciplines, you know, then it'll even allow us, you know, to be disciplined in that area too, you know, our spirituality and things like that, you know, because, you know, I think that a lot of things that we're battling with as a culture, you know, with mental health and a lot of these things, you know, I think it's because we do want instant gratification. You know, we are looking for easy answers. And I'm not saying that in every situation we're not. There are a lot of things that, you know, where we can get it, you know, but I love what you said earlier that good things take time. Absolutely. You know, good things take time. And if we want to build the life that, you know, we desire in the gym, in fitness, in our health, we have to tackle it as if this is going to take time. You know, we can't give in to instant gratification. You know, I even challenge some people that, you know, even shut off social media for a while. You know, that's fast from social media for a while. If that's something that kind of hinders you, you know, that's something that's a chip in you that, you know, is constantly seeking the, you know, instant gratification. You're constantly seeking the fast result. You know, maybe you got to shut it off. Maybe just deactivate your account for a few months while you're in that process, and you know, and just to kind of close off from there. Like, what are some, if you want to look into that camera right there, Jon, man, and just give some last words, man, and what people, you know, for people out there that are maybe in the same situation you were in years ago, or maybe you're undecisive about, man, should I start? When should I start? How should I start?
What I will say is definitely start. Definitely listen to this episode and, you know, take whatever nuggets you need to get out of it. But the main thing that I will say is, you know, love yourself. The best form of loving yourself or action to it is, you know, self-care. Sometimes self-care could be getting a haircut, going to the nail salon, or whatever the case is. But another form of that is fitness, is putting the right, you know, food in your body, hydrating, sleeping. You know, those are the best form of self-care, of showing you that you love yourself. So sometimes you may be in a situation that's probably the reason why you're not motivated. Like, you need to get back in tune with yourself. And once you're able to do that and start displaying actions for you, then you'll find yourself going down the right path. So motivation waivers, we talked about that. Try to establish habits that enable you to go down the route of discipline, and set realistic goals to keep you motivated. But don't be afraid to start. Don't be afraid to talk to someone, and do it for you. Yeah. Like, it doesn't always have to be for someone else. Do it for you, and love yourself.
Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And if you're in the area, you know, you train out of Self-Made right there in Redlands, right?
Self-Made in Redlands.
And yes. How can they contact you through social media?
Yeah, you can contact me on IG, sir3634 _ IFBB Pro. You can also contact me, email reesejonathan@yahoo.com. Those are pretty much the two ways I take my inquiries. Or you can just come to Self-Made Training Facility in Redlands, and then just ask for me. I'm typically in there all the time. So yeah. So that's the way you can contact me.
Awesome. And I'll definitely put his details there in the description, so that if you know, just click the link right there and it'll direct you to his Instagram page, his email. And, you know, and do you offer any, like, for people that aren't local, do you do any online?
Yeah, I do online training. I also have a special coming up with that, as well as personal training, because it is Mother's Day. Okay. I typically try to do like specials around holidays, just because that deters people too as far as pricing.
Yeah.
I'm not cheap, but I'm not expensive. I'm like in the middle, somewhere around there, because that's one way I feel that deters people a lot. And it can be expensive when you talk about food and supplements and all this other stuff. So I try to be very aware of that and not overcharge people. Yeah. So I do online training, personal training, and you can consult with me anytime. It's free.
Awesome, man. There you go. So there's no excuse. And honestly, like he said, it's true. The price thing, you know, sometimes can, you know, maybe discourage people or kind of keep them. But honestly, I want to encourage people out there to look at it as an investment. You know, truly look at it just like all the other things that we invest in or we buy, the different toys that we get. You know, look at it as this is something for you, for your family. You know, in the long haul, you're gonna thank yourself for these type of investments. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Offbeat Podcast, and listen, and listen. You know, again, we like it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet.
Yes.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Listen, we're trying to build a platform. We're building a platform. We're building a platform for the IE right here for stories. I know we didn't get into full detail into Jon's story, but even just, what he's offering here to local residents here in the IE and what he's doing, we want to continue to highlight that. And we need you. We need your support. We need you to like this, to subscribe to it, to share, comment on social media. We're going to have all our links right there. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We want this to be a community. We want this to be a place where you can come and on your way to work or right there at home, tune in and watch these episodes. And we want to just make sure that, we're having these real, authentic conversations. And, we're not trying to, like they say in Spanish, we're not trying to add, more cream to the tacos. You know what I mean? Like we want to tell it as it is. So continue to show that love and support. We thank you for everyone who is loving and supporting on this podcast. We thank you guys so much from the bottom of our heart. And thank you guys again for tuning in. Once again, this was Offbeat Podcast. Let's go. All right.
Man, appreciate it.